These scraps remind me of a pile of autumn leaves, and I want to jump in. Would you join me? Hi, I'm Di with Sister Chicks Quilting, and welcome to my channel. Let's talk about this pile of 2.5-inch strips that I pulled out of my bins. I cut them into 2.5-inch squares, and it really does look like raining leaves, doesn't it? All these different colors. I'm just not sure how they're going to work together or if they will work together. But you know, the only way to find out is to go through and make a few practice blocks. I'd like to tell you some of the discovery I made about making this block, because then you won't have to make that discovery and you can just start making your blocks. You're going to have half square triangles, and so you're going to need a background fabric. That's what I'm going to use to tie everything in, but I'm still not sure if all of these crazy colors are going to work, but I'm going to give it a try. The first thing I decided to try for a background fabric was this piece of muslin. I was given this and I thought, oh goody, it'll be great for quilting, right? Wrong. When I made my first block with muslin, the fabric, when I ironed it, curled and it started fraying like a son of a gun. I'm not kidding you. The weave on this is a lot looser than I thought it would be, and it just was not fitting the bill. Then when I got the block finished, it looked pale and pasty. I wasn't pleased with it at all. So the muslin was out. Then I had this on my shelf, left over from another project. I don't have a lot of it, as you can see. And this is actually called Awesome Autumn by Sandy Gervais. She is one of my favorite designers. At first I was thinking that it was going to be too dark and that these little star flowers and polka dots would take away. It sure didn't. It turned out to be exactly what I wanted for the background. So Awesome Autumn it was. Since I was working with all of these 2.5-inch squares, I had to cut a bunch of 2.5 squares of the background. Then I had to make half square triangles. Now, if you're making a half square triangle out of a 2.5-inch square and another 2.5-inch square, you're only going to get one half square triangle. And that's all that I had to work with. So you might think that there's a lot of waste in this, but there's not. Because what I did, take a look at this. This is cut off and it has two pieces on it, of course. It turned out to be a 1.5-inch square, half square triangle. Am I crazy? I think I'm a bit crazy, but I showed you a quilt a couple of months back made with 1.5-inch half square triangles, and ever since then I have been obsessed. I actually have that quilt in my shop, and you're going to see it in my next video when I talk about flange bindings. But let me tell you, I am so obsessed with making a quilt that is 1.5-inch square, finishing to a 1-inch square. I think it's going to be phenomenal. So I digressed. I'm so sorry. Back to this. There it is, my 2.5-inch square triangle. That's how I'm going to put this block together. Oh, I also have to have a stem. And by the way, I wasn't using a pattern for this. I don't think we need a pattern. Not knowing what I was doing, never having made a stem block before, I simply, well, I'm going to show you how to do it, but here's one of my stem blocks. I think it's time that I laid one of these blocks out. Last week was my birthday, and I wanted to show you the beautiful flowers that Hazel picked out. Isn't that just pretty? I love this bouquet of flowers, and I love it even more that my little Hazel picked it out. Since I can't show you Hazel, I'm going to show you what she gave me for my birthday. It was a pretty funny card too, but I have been sewing with these in my sewing room just so I can enjoy them. And I want to show you what the engineer gave me for my birthday. the Quick and Easy Block Tool Book. So this is like the second one, similar to the one that April and I bought in Utah. It also has 101 quilt blocks in it. And I had just poured over this. I found so many quilt blocks in here that I want to make. I think while I'm going to use the first one that I got in Utah a lot, I think there's more blocks in here that I will actually use. This is an exciting book. And yes, you will see some videos from it. He kept going. The triangle block builder. There's 100 triangle blocks in here. These are set up so cool. This book is set up, for instance, the skateboarding block. It comes in 5 different sizes. Oh, it comes in 4 different sizes, from a 4-inch block to a 16-inch block. I am so excited about the possibilities with this. I think that the blocks in this book, take a look at them, are just extremely gorgeous. And I do love triangles. And then I think this one might be my favorite out of all 4 of the books, because yes, he gave me another one. He was on his game, I'm telling you. This one is just a quick and easy block builder. But let me show you what's in it. Look at that, a Jacob's ladder right on the front page. And this one is tips and tricks and hints on how to put blocks together, from strips to super scrappy half square triangles. Then it tells you all the steps on how to do half square triangles, 4 at a time, 8 at a time. It tells you how to do the perfect pieced half square triangle, which I've already told you, so you don't need to buy this book, but just kidding. I'm just kidding. I just wanted to share these with you. I'm so excited. You're definitely going to get some videos from these books. I've got 3 stacks of fabric that are going to be made out of blocks from these books. I'm going to put together a block right before your eyes. The first thing I'm going to do is a stem. Let's put some purple on here, some green, mauve, I don't know what, and then some points. What do you think of that? We're going to put this purple down here. You can play with them and put them out where you like them. What do you think? Is that kind of interesting, those colors together? They're all fall colors, and I think the only way we're going to find out if they go together is by making up several blocks and putting them together. One thing that I wanted to share with you was the muslin block that I made up. This is it. I am not loving it. It seems a little milquetoast to me, just bland, and it's not going to cut the look that I want. So the only thing I have to say about this block is I'm going to pull an Eleanor Burns. Let's get rid of it, and let's work with the Sandy Gervais fabric. I have to tell you, I've been having so much fun putting this block together. What I'm going to do is go through the construction of the block with you. What you need is 3 2.5-inch square blocks, and you need 4 half square triangles. Oh, where'd my half square triangles go? Oh, I haven't made them yet. I was going to show you how I make them. And then you need a stem. This is actually sewing by the seat of my pants, or whatever you want to call it. But I don't have a pattern. I'm using a 2.5-inch square block, and this piece is 3.5 inches by 1 inch wide. So the width is here, and then this is 3.5 inches. And what I do is place it from tip to tip. I'm going to hold that down with my finger and hold this one down with my finger. And this portion right here is the center line. Oh, I'm going to sew 1/4 inch from that center line. Now I'm going to take my rotary cutter and cut this. I don't think you can see that's off screen. After I've cut it off, I'm going to fold this piece back, finger press it. We'll just give this a quick, strong press down. like that. Then I'm going to put this piece on right sides together, like so. My fingers have become invaluable holding them down. I decided not to use pins, and we're sewing at a 1/4 inch seam again. Open it up and finger press down. Please don't judge me about my fingernails. I know they're a mess. I forgot about my appointment and I just did them myself, and then one of them broke off. When you're finished, you have a unit that looks like this, and it's got dog ears on it, 4 little dog ears. So I am going to cut those off like this, like I'm cutting them along the side. You end up with a square piece like that. That is how you make the stem. Now, I've seen thinner stems, I've seen thicker stems. I just picked a measurement and went with it. The next step is to make the half square triangles. I'm going to make 2 and show you how. I get the fabric I'm using. This is the right side, and I put the right side on the right side of the background fabric, and I'm going to do it twice because I'm making 2 of them. These are so small that you actually cannot mark a line and sew a line on both sides. You'd have to cut them bigger. And because I'm cutting these from the scraps, I don't have that option. So this is what I'm doing. I don't know if you can see this seam or not. I'm sewing it twice on here. Why? Because I don't want to waste this half, and this half is the half I need. So I'm going to sew it twice, say, I don't know, away from the edge like that. Now this one you should be able to see a little better. I'm also not marking these. I'm going to give you a huge tip right here. I want you to use your eyes. I want you to focus when you're sewing them. If you focus on this point where you're going to end, it's amazing. Your eyes will take you there. It's like throwing a basketball or pitching a ball. They always say, keep your eye on the ball. So I'm starting at the point. I don't have it marked anywhere, but I am looking right here at this point. I'm not looking at my thread or anything. Look at that. And then I take this second piece and cut it because I'm wanting this little half square triangle. So this stitch is actually about 3/4 of an inch in distance from itself. So from the center line to the second one, it's about 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to use my cutting mat to slice it, and I'll go right there like that. I'm going to reserve this for a scrappy 1-inch quilt that I'm doing. Yeah, you heard me. I'm kind of crazy, I know. This one is going to get the same treatment. And then I'm going to open up my half square triangle. There is your simple maple leaf block, and it's scrappy. Wasn't that just the easiest? And I have to tell you how much fun I'm having sewing these together. So the next thing I'm going to do is take each piece to my machine, line them up as best I can with the right sides facing the right sides, and sew them up. Now, I'm not using a 1/4 of an inch. I am using a scant 1/4 of an inch. I've made 28 of these blocks. I did trim them all up, and they came down to 6¼ inches. After I trimmed them, and you can see that I hardly took anything off, they came out at 6¼ inches. So they're a smaller block, and this is going to give me a lot of options to work with. I was thinking I'm going to make myself a table runner with them, but I didn't realize I'd made 28 of these little buttes. So what I may do is take the background fabric here and cut some sashing so I can play with sashing as well. Let's do that, and when I go to the design wall, who knows, I may have a sashed quilt already up on the wall. We'll see. I'm going to cut the sashing at 2 inches. The reason I'm doing 2 inches is because the blocks are smaller. I don't want the sashing to overtake the blocks. Do you notice when I cut that I don't have to put my fingers here, then move them up here when my blade is here? I just did this. That's because I'm using a Quilter Select ruler that has the grip on the back. I dearly love these rulers. Okay, to the design wall we go. I can't do a ta-da because this quilt isn't finished yet, and I reserve my ta-das for finished quilts. But what do you think so far? Ooh, kind of fun, huh? I'm going to do a couple of layouts, and we'll take a look at them. Here goes. By the way, did I tell you I work really, really fast? I'm really pleased with how this turned out. Now, if I were going to make this layout for the quilt, I would do another row of 5 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would leave 3 leftover blocks. In that case, I would actually make 2 more blocks so I could go 3, 4, 6 rows down. So I think that would be a cute little quilt. Little is the key word though. I don't want any more sofa quilts. I have a leather sofa and quilts just slip right off it. So I look for another way to use these. One thing I want to point out is you can totally have fun with the stems, turning them all around every which way you want to, and this will make them kind of like tumbling leaves, like the wind is blowing them around. That's a fun option. You don't have to put them in a row when you put them together. But I think the sashing is a win, in my opinion. I'm going to tumble this little leaf right here. And also, if you tumble them, you might have 2 blocks that you may not like together. They may kind of stand out. Right now, I'm not really seeing any of those because the sashing really takes that away a little bit. You could use that tool to tumble them around and change the way they look next to each other. Are you ready to move on and see what else we can do for a layout? Let's go with this one. Now this is a really cool transformation. You know what? It appears to me that the colors are richer, a little more intense, and I think it works as well. So you don't have to put the sashing in. But I want to put sashing in because I'm thinking I want to make 2 table runners, and the sashing will help extend those. But I really love this. All I would have to do is make 2 more blocks. And that's easy enough. You saw how easy it was. This is such a great stash buster. I had so much fun pulling out that big pile of scraps, cutting them into 2.5-inch squares. This is a great way to use your scraps, and I really didn't know how it was going to turn out. You never really do, but the magic of a scrappy quilt happens at the end when you put them together, when you put a lot of blocks together. And you know what? I'm seeing some magic here. What do you guys think? Do you see the magic here? I also want to point out, you do not have to do a 2.5-inch block. I did that because I had a bunch of 2.5-inch strips. This block could easily be done with 4-inch blocks, 5-inch blocks. That would be kind of big in my opinion, but maybe a 3 or a 3.5-inch block would really dramatically, maybe a 3.5-inch block would dramatically increase the size of this quilt. And it would be so much fun to do that. Are you wondering what I'm going to do, whether I'm going to do a table runner or make 2 more blocks and do a quilt? You're going to have to watch till the end of the video to see. But in the meantime, I have some thank yous. I got a package in the mail the other day that was a lot of fun to get because it was filled with chocolate covered macadamia nuts from Hawaii. And I would like to thank Frances Dolam, or Princess, who comments on my videos, for the lovely gift. I did share some of them with the engineer, but Frances, thank you. I ate most of them. She says, I don't do coffee or tea, but I wanted to buy you some chocolate as it's my favorite food. So I think this is the way to do it. I hope you're not allergic to chocolate or nuts. Thank goodness I'm not. They were delicious. Frances says she's seen all of my videos and waits for the new ones. This is hilarious. You are very entertaining. You and April and Tracy are my 3 musketeers of the quilting world. Maybe I should be sending you a 3 musketeer bar. That was cute. And I am totally amused by the engineer's wisecracks. So for those of you who are, thank you for putting up with the engineer. And Frances, that was so thoughtful of you. Thank you so much. Next, I received a phone call from a Vivian Wayland, who's from Martinsville, Indiana. She said, did I hear you right? Are you really from Emmett, Idaho? And I said, yes, I am. Well, her husband was born and raised in my little hometown. I thought that was so much fun. And now this is hilarious. She said, one of my husband's cousins is a fantastic quilter. To which I said, well, who would that be? And she said, well, her name is Cinda Jensen. And I'm like, oh, you're kidding. I've known Cinda for many, many years. In fact, if you watched my video of the quilt tour that I put up in June, I interview Cinda. She is a marvelous quilter. What a small world we live in. And moreover, what a small quilty world and community we have. I love this quilty community, and I love all of you for being a part of it. Thank you for letting me be a part of your quilting community through my videos. And Frances and Vivian, I thank you so much. What do you think of my table runner layout? When I started making these blocks, that was my original intention. And I had so much fun making them that I ended up making just too short of making 3 table runners. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is sew this together, and I want to make 3 table runners. That way I have one for myself and 2 lovely gifts. I'm pretty excited about that option. I have a lot of quilts in my life. It's time to throw in a table runner or 2. I'm wondering if you would prefer a table runner or a quilt. Let me know in the comments below which you would prefer. I'd love to find out. I always like to hear what you have to say. But for now, I'm going to start sewing these together. Now remember, they're already squared up, so it should go pretty fast. Something I'm thinking of doing is actually putting a wider border on the very end. I don't know, I think it's kind of cool. What do you think? There would be a wider border here and here, and then 2 inches throughout. I'm going to try it and see what I like. I will audition it, and I'll audition it with you. But for now, why don't you join me back at the machine and let's sew these up. This is my ta-da moment in front of my design wall. I have the long one for my daughter-in-law, and this one is actually for Blue Block. Fall is her favorite time of year. The other, we were coming home from a retreat in Logan, Utah one time, and we went through Sardine Canyon, and oh my goodness, the canyon looked like all of these colors. And I'm giving this Blue Block, and Blue Block gets this because I love her. Now I want to tell you about these blocks over here. There's 4 blocks left over, and you know what? These are so much fun to make. I'm probably going to make more and come up with another table topper, hopefully for myself. But I really wanted to show you Hazel. Her mama won't let me, which I'm going to respect. I want to tell you about sewing with Hazel the other day. She's 5 years old, and I had one of these blocks, just one block done up on the board like this, and I had a stack of the makings of the blocks, and she came in and saw them and asked if she could help. I said, absolutely. I just turned her loose, and she created these 2 blocks. Actually, she created 3, but I can't remember which the third one is. But these 2 stand out. And she said, Grandma, this is from a royal maple tree. It's my royal block. And I said, why royal? She goes, because of the colors. It's purple and yellow. I'm like, oh, of course. And then when she was creating this block, I said, Hazel, I'm not liking this bright piece right here. Do you want to change that out for something else? No, Grandma, she said. I like it. And I don't want you changing it because you don't want a cranky quilter on your hands. Now, I don't know where she heard that. We called Blue Block to tell her that Hazel was working in the quilting studio. And she said, guess what, Aunt Patricia? I'm a miniature quilter. Isn't that fun? So these 2 blocks are from my miniature quilter. I reserved them to put in my table topper because, come on, who wouldn't? Anyway, I just wanted to show you how they ended up. You know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to take them and put them on the long arm and quilt them. I may not get them bound today, but I'm going to get them quilted. So I'll show those to you at the end. I'm using hazelnut colored Omni brand thread on both of these table runners. I do all of my quilting with Omni. My machine loves it and I love the result. Now my daughter-in-law is getting a tumbling leaves pattern with maple and other types of leaves in it that's running right now. In both of the table runners, I'm using 100% cotton batting. I use cotton batting because it will lay flat, and that's how you want it in a table runner. You know, you don't want to set a dish or a vase on it and have it be puffy and fall over. I also stitch quite dense when I make table runners. There's no real rule about it. It's my personal preference, and I love the look. Now, Patricia chose another design with maple leaves for hers, and you will see that one in just a minute. I'm out here in my shop with a customer, Teresa Ballard. She does some fantastic quilts, and she dropped by today and brought something to show me, and I would love to share that with you. It's actually setting on one of Teresa's quilts, and with her permission, Teresa, would you show off your quilt? That's a yes. Did you hear that laugh? That's a yes. I love it. We're going to show you her beautiful red, white, and blue quilt as well. But let me turn the camera and share this with you. You'll like it. This is it. It's just 4 blocks right now. But Teresa, how much fabric did you say you had? Was it that, what's that technical term, scads?
Yeah, I had a whole honey bun.
She has a whole honey bun, and she watched my Halloween video, which I will link below, and she made these out of a honey bun, and she made them from a honey bun, and she put them into blocks, which is genius because for those of you who don't like to piece in rows, blocks are a little better. But take a look at this. Isn't this cute? The reason they're on point is because she's thinking she's going to set them on point with some of the white sashing in between. And Teresa, if you have enough, I would recommend, I think this fabric would do well with a cornerstone. If you have enough, and because I know you know how to do cornerstones. What do you think?
That'd be a good idea. I hadn't thought of it.
Well, I hadn't thought of putting these on point, and I think they look darling. She called it a little pinwheel, and I don't know what I called it. I made mine out of a Halloween jelly roll. Just wanted to share that with you. And then take a look at Teresa's quilt behind you. We're going to go ahead and open this up. She wanted some red, white, and blue quilting. This is the back side now, and you're going to recognize the pattern and love it. Here it is. This is Teresa's quilt that she's picking up, and it has quite a story. Or at least the recipient has quite a story. Her son did 20 years in the Navy, and she wanted to make a red, white, and blue quilt for him. And you can see that she made it simply out of half square triangles. Oh, but before that, look, she pieced the half square triangles. And Teresa, did you use a match set? Was it a jelly roll?
It was a jelly roll.
It was a jelly roll. How many jelly rolls did you use?
One.
Just one jelly roll, and this quilt is a big quilt. I would say it's about,
I think it was 66 by 67 or something
66 by 67. Isn't this a great layout? And you know, you don't even need a pattern for this. If you're making half square triangles, what you need is just the inspiration of looking at this quilt. So you can see how it's put together. Another half square triangle pattern that you can make from just looking at a picture. So enjoy this, and thanks for hanging out in my shop with me today. This is a really fun part of taking a quilt off the rails, and that's unrolling it. I'll show you the back. This is the design that Blue Block wanted on hers. It took a long time to do, quite detailed. And this is how it looks on the front. I'm really pleased with the look. This is exactly what I want in a table runner. I want them to be flat and densely quilted. Take a look at this one up close. It has different leaves. There's little sets of maple leaves, which I love. And here is the back side. Isn't that a fun design? I really, really like it. Look at these two little maple leaves in here, and then the rest of the leaves are turned and twisted like the wind is blowing them around. See this plaid right here? This is in the same line as the backing. As you can see, it has the same color background. And I am going to bind them in plaid for the binding. Now, the binding is up at Blue Block's house. She took the rest of the bolt for a project she was working on, but called me to say she had plenty of it left over. So I'm pretty excited to get these bound. And yes, I'll show them to you, but I'll put them in another video. Ta-da! Look at these beautiful fall leaves falling all around on these two table runners. Who ever would have thought they started out as a pile of scraps? That didn't match. Isn't working Scrappy magical? I think it is. I'm so excited. Now I have 4 blocks left over, and I'm going to make 5 more and make myself a square falling leaves table topper for my table. I think they're just so beautiful. Now I would like to thank a few of you viewers. Carolyn Lewis and Jean McDonald were a couple of you, I couldn't find the other comments, of viewers who liked my stiletto seam ripper that Verl made me. I have commented with his contact information and pinned it to the top. You know, he doesn't have a website. You can just send him an email, text him, or give him a call, and he can tell you what he has, maybe text you pictures, and you can choose one for yourself. He'll make it and ship it to you. Secondly, I want to thank the bunches of you who gave me tips and tricks and ideas on how to finish my aprons. I am going to finish the aprons. Michelle has seen them. She's like, Mom, I want to use that apron. So I will go ahead and get those aprons finished and gift them by Christmas. You guys better hold me accountable. I know you will. Oh, what have I gotten myself into? Then I want to thank Judy Ziegler, who found my channel. She's a first-time viewer and looking forward to more videos. Judy, I'm going to make more. I hope you want to subscribe later on. And talking about subscribing, Kathy Robinson, thank you for subscribing to my channel. I appreciate you all so much. Then Marissa Napodi, April Dahlberg, and Rose Anderson, thank you so much for buying me cups of herb tea. I appreciate that you're helping to support my channel. I just can't thank you enough. I hope you learned something and maybe got a laugh or two out of today's video. I learned quite a bit. I'm pretty excited about this leaf block, but I do want to thank you for watching, because every time you watch and subscribe, I get closer to reaching my goals. I appreciate you. I also want you to know that next week is going to be all about flange binding. My friend Bev, the queen of flange binding, is right here in this sewing room with me, and she is going to teach me how to do it. I am so excited. See you next week. Bye.